So Nana Kwame, because of our time, we're not going to. We don't have my time to talk about. But what I want to ask you is about if someone wants this information that what we are talking about. If someone needs this information, where would that person? Because I think there's people out there who they will be more interested to go into this and make a research for themselves. Where would they get that information?
Okay, a good place would be abibitumi.com, abibitumi.com. And Abibitumi translates to Black Power. So everything that you found on that site is related to Black Power.
So it's going to come on the stream?
Yes.
Yeah, after the destiny, if you watch it, it's going to come on the stream.
Very good.
So
we have several, classes. We teach various African languages. We teach Kiswahili. We have an instructor out of Nairobi, Kenya, who's doing that one. We have a new class that's coming up on centered building African realities. Just various classes. We have Lingala, we have Chi, we have Yoruba.
Do you do all here in Ghana, or you do in the whole Africa?
All throughout the entire world. So we have
throughout the entire world.
So any black people, as long as you're black, you can be on the site and you can be learning this type of information that we're sharing here today. So that's what it's all about. And then we also have platforms. So I'd encourage everyone to quit YouTube and come to abibitumitv.com. That's abibitumitv.com. We also have on Abibitumi, it's a place where we call it a social education communiversity.
Yeah.
So it's not just one person's information, it's all these people, over 10,000 people who are sharing this exact same type of information that, I'm sharing with you here today. So we have the different platforms that are available there, but we'll start off with those two, abibitumi.com and then abibitumitv.com. Now, beyond that, there are other black-owned messaging apps. There's Soft Talk out of Nigeria. It's 2 T's in the middle, SOFTTALK, because I quit WhatsApp.
Okay.
We have Onjoss, ONDJOSS. That one is out of Cameroon. So for those who are interested in, basically, there's an analogy that what we tend to do is focus on the spider web rather than the spider. So basically we say, oh, the problem is our leaders, or our problem is, corruption, or is this, is that. And all of those are the end result of the actual product. You have to get back to the source instead of, the effect, the effect, right? So cause versus effect. And it's sort of like, what we tend to do is mop the floor instead of turning off the tap, right? And then we say, we have to take responsibility for getting new towels onto the floor. That's not going to solve the problem.
Because the tap is still running.
Exactly. You have to get new mops. That's what we need to do. The problem is the mops. So then they get new mops and the problem isn't resolved because no one is actually turning off the tap. So you have to actually get to the source of the problem, which is our actual enemies, the enemies of all black people, who have been the enemies of black people since the very dawn of recorded history. The very first narrative military document was that of Imahawini. And it talks about bringing together all black people, both inside of Kemet and what was called Nubia, in order to defeat the non-black enemies, who were called the Amu at that point in time. So, these are the things that, of course, are not part of the miseducation system, because we have to remember that the miseducation system was set up by our colonial enemies. So, again, people who are interested in this type of information, abibitumi.com. You can also come to abibitumitv.com. And then beyond that, you can hit me up on the messengers that I just mentioned. Soft Talk Messenger out of Nigeria, Onjoss Messenger out of Cameroon. I'm on both of those. And then also, I teach at the University of Ghana Institute of African Studies. But I want people to know that the Institute of African Studies is not necessarily about this information that I'm sharing, because, again, once you are compromised, you're getting funding from Mellon and Anglo Gold Ashanti and all these places. The building itself is built by the Danes. It becomes very difficult for you to share this type of information because there's a proverb in Chi that says, and it translates to, if you eat in 30 different houses, your mouth can't be harsh, literally hard. It means that you can't say what you want to say. Nana Thomas Sankara says is, he who feeds you controls you.
That is true.
Imahu Ptahhotep, in the oldest book in the history of the world, says over 4,200 years ago, he said, and it translates to he who listens to his belly belongs to the enemy. All of our ancestors for 4,000 years ago, all the way up to now, have been saying the exact same thing. But then this is the reason why it becomes very difficult for us to stand fast. And it also is the reason why we are subject to what I refer to as aggressive ideological mimicry. Now, what is that? If you look in the deep sea, there's a type of fish called the anglerfish. And what it does is it has what's called an elysium. And it's like part of its dorsal fin that sticks up like this. And then it has what's called an esca at the tip of it. And it has this photobacteria, this bioluminescent bacteria inside of it. And what it does, they call it angler because it puts that dorsal fin back and forth like this, and it lures in prey. So here you have a squid that thinks, oh, look, here's a meal for me, but guess what? It ends up as a meal. And that's the same thing that happens at a lot of these, non-black controlled and non-black finance institutions, is that you'll go to it and think it's very revolutionary. It's really about, the black cause. But then you'll go there and they'll tell you that the building is built by the Danes. You understand?
Yeah.
So, these are things that those of us who are trying to make these types of moves, we get away from trying to decolonize those inherently white spaces, and then we work towards building uncolonizable spaces. Another thing in that effort is to starve the spider to death. So rather than trying to chase after this cobweb and that cobweb, to actually just starve the spider to death. And one way we can do that is through the phones that we use. So here's a phone out of Rwanda, the Mara phone, right? Which is all the components, so forth, assembled here on the continent. So this is one option. Again,
so there's a phone from Africa.
Yeah.
There's an African country from Rwanda.
Rwanda, yeah.
Okay.
Right, designed by Mara, made in Rwanda. You understand?
Yeah.
So they have factories in Rwanda. They also have factories in Umzansi, what people refer to as South Africa. This is another one. It's a KTA phone, Kwesi Trumampofo. Right, so this is a
Ghana phone.
Yeah, it's a Ghanaian, so Kwesi Trumampofo.
And is it manufactured here in Ghana?
So this one is designed by a Ghanaian, but he's not doing the manufacturing here in Ghana.
Okay.
Right? So, these are things, and neither one of these is what I would say the gold standard, the end goal, which is entirely black people exclusively from top to bottom, in and out, so forth and so on. But I would say it's a step in the process, right? Okay. Because all of these things, if you look at Toyotas, for example, look at the 1970 Toyota, right? It looks like a coffin on wheels. It looks like that, kiosk over there that they just turn horizontal and then moved around. So literally people would laugh at you if you're driving any type of Japanese car. But now you have all the ministers and presidents who are striving to get a Toyota. How? Right? Because the black people literally financed the rise of Japan. So if they have infrastructure, that infrastructure was built by the black people who keep driving around these Forerunners and Land Cruisers and so forth and so on. We are financing our very oppressors. But this is the thing. If you look at how Kia and Hyundai and all of these were able to basically gain ascendancy in the world, is because of protectionism. That the government itself would say you have this amount of years to get to export quality. We're going to do this. If you look at the United Snakes of a murderer, so-called United States, you have to see that every single thing that is related to the government, they're going to drive a U.S. car. They don't care if Mercedes-Benz is better. They don't care if Bentley is better. They don't care if anything is better.
They have to use...
Crown Victoria, the Fords, all of these things. Every single government vehicle is using those things. Even though Ford, now people here, they look at Ford as though, it's a prestigious car because it's coming from the U.S. Growing up, we used to call Ford find on the road dead, F-O-R-D, find on the road dead, fix or repair daily. You understand? We saw this as just the most terrible thing in the world. But here, because people don't have the inside information, they look at it like this prestigious thing.
Yeah,
but then when you
look
one
of the big thing now in Ghana.
Exactly. But then if you look at the reasons why people don't patronize Kantanka, I was riding in a Kantanka. One of my students actually drives a Kantanka. You can maybe take a shot of it before you go. That they'll say, well, Kantanka, they're just assembling it. So I decided to look up Ford and where they get their parts from. They get their parts from everywhere in the world except for the U.S., basically. Yeah. Very few parts come from the U.S. In Kikongo, we call it Kalu Diantotikisa, and it's like a patchwork car where, the mirrors come from this place in Germany. Some come from Europe, these ones come from China. These parts come from Malaysia. Those parts come from India. Like literally, they have a good, 40 to 50 different manufacturers that they just assemble the thing together. And then even a lot of the factories aren't even in the U.S. anymore. But then people will say, well, that's the reason why I can't support Kmtyw is because they're only assembling it and they're not making all the parts. Show me the car factory where they're making every single part in that factory.
Even the Germans are not doing that
I
anymore.
look at GMC and look at all the vendors from all throughout the entire world except for the U.S. But then people say I'm driving a U.S. car. I won't drive a Kmtyw. But then also you look at the same thing with an iPhone. I think you have an iPhone here.
I have an iPhone. Yeah,
I actually looked up, you know, the chain of all the different suppliers for iPhone. And you have, you know, the rare earth coming from Inner Mongolia. You got it being assembled in China. You got the processors coming out of, you know, these places, Samsung, all these other places. So you have a patchwork phone. But then people would say, you know, in the day, oh, I can't use RLG because they're only assembling. I have to use an iPhone. But the thing is, they're using an assembled thing that's not even assembled in the U.S. The only thing that comes from the U.S. is the idea of, yeah, let's make a phone. You understand?
Yeah.
But all of these things are not the cause. That mentality is the end result of a controlled, calculated, and intentional process to make black people hate anything that has ever touched black hands, including they themselves.
That's what I want to ask. I wanted to ask, why is it that the black people don't patronize in our own product? It's one of my main questions. It's one of my main reasons I had the platform, to promote African businesses locally made and African businesses abroad as well.
So what website are you going to post this video to?
It's on my own, well, I'm putting it on YouTube.
So this means that your question is not an abstract question for everyone else out there. Your question is for yourself.
Why? Why is it that?
So you have to ask yourself that question. If you can be honest with yourself, then whatever answer you're hoping to get from all these random, you know, abstract people is the question that you can go inside and get the answer from.
The reason, the reason I'm promoting it through YouTube is I think the platform has been made for the world, but we can capitalize on it to promote ourselves in a positive way rather than leaving them to promote us in a negative way. So
essentially what we're dealing with is individual interest first instead of race first. None of Marcus Garvey used to talk about race first. And when you're about race first, it's about starving your enemies and feeding yourselves. That's what every single intelligent people on the planet Earth do. So we were talking about the cars. So if you look at Italy, the head of state of Italy drives a Lancia Thesis. People may not even know what that is, but that's a car that's made in Italy.
Lancia,
right? You have, if you go to France, you'll find that the head of state drives Peugeot, Renault, and Citroën. Right, those three. If you go to Germany, you'll find that the head of state drives Mercedes and BMW. If you go to the UKKK, you'll find the head of state drives a Bentley.
Bentley and Jaguar.
If you go to Japan, you'll find that the Empress of Japan drives in a one-off Toyota Century. If you go to China, you'll find the head of state drives in a Hongqi. If you go to the United States, you'll find the head of state drives in a Cadillac. This means that none of them care what is the best thing. They care about which one is mine. Which one is my son going to be the manager of that factory. You understand? However, for us, instead of being race first, we say which one is, the nicest one. Oh, the enemies? Okay, let's go and support the enemy. So literally, we are building the institutions of our enemies and starving our own brothers and sisters. You understand?
Yeah, that's true.
So the exact same, you have to ask the question, why am I wearing the shirt that I'm wearing right now? There's a reason that you'll come up with. If you start thinking, I'll see the steam coming out of your ears and you'll be thinking and thinking. And that reason will be the exact same thing that I would call an excuse. You understand? But for those of us who are very serious about this, we say that we will not support YouTube. We will not support, Crack a Book, Nitwitter, Ignitgram, all of these different platforms. What we'll do is that we'll build our own uncolonizable spaces. But then what we'll find is it's similar to, there's an analogy. If you look at this feeding frenzy of sardines, that basically on the southeastern coast off of Mzansi, what they call South Africa, you have all of these sardines, and they have the sardine run, and that's where you have these cool waters that go up the coast of Mzansi there. All the sardines come, and then all their predators come and surround them. Now the sardines, when it's just the fur seals, they're able to make their movements very deftly, and the fur seals can't do anything with them because the sides of them are like mirrors, and they can't even focus on one single sardine. So they're moving in a very sardine-like way, a sardine-first type of way. But then what the fur seals do is that they wait for the tuna to come. The tuna come up from the deep, and now what the fur seals do is that they trap them into a circle. They get some to come off of the larger body, right? And now you have the tuna who escape them from, they keep them from escaping into the deep. And then you have these shearwaters, which are a type of bird that dive bombs at some 50 miles an hour into the water. So now they're being attacked from all sides. And then you have copper sharks that come in. You have brooder whales that come in. You have all of these creatures that come in. And what ends up happening is what's called a bait ball. What the bait ball is that now instead of moving in sardine-like waves, right, they've been cut off from the hole, and now every single sardine is trying to get into the center of the bait ball, right? So now they're moving in very unnatural ways where now they're being attacked, and each sardine is no longer moving like how sardines should move. If they plan on surviving as a collective, it's every sardine for himself. And this is what we have. Every single YouTube owner, or we can't even call them owner, renter, every YouTube renter is trying to get more subscribers than that guy. Every single, they're like the sardines who are inside of the bait ball now. Instead of us all moving together as black people, in the interest of black people, each one is trying to get more followers, each one is trying to get more likes, come up with something that's more outlandish, more entertaining, more outrageous than the next person, a crazier looking thumbnail, a brighter looking this.
That's
that,
it, that's it, yeah.
So this is exactly what happens when you are basically trained through miseducation to no longer be looking out for the interests of your collective whole, but you are now looking out for your individual interests. Anytime they can get us to do that, they're able to capitalize. It's like when you see buffalo who are hunted by wolves, the wolves do the exact same thing that the fur seals do. The fur seals, they'll cut off some from the entire school. That's the exact same thing that wolves do. They'll try to cut one off from the rest of the herd. When they can do that, now they know that we've got this one. You understand? To the point that, you know, it's exactly, it's not even really an analogy. It's exactly what's going on with us as black people. Because now you're thinking about how can I get more viewers for my YouTube channel? You understand? But all of these things are things that once we're cognizant of them, and then once we really start to hate our enemies, then we can say, why am I supporting? And when I say hate our enemies, I'm not saying like teeth clench, oh, I hate you. I mean like how the Japanese and the Chinese hate the Japanese. For those who aren't aware, they have the Nanjing massacre. So for those of us outside, we just see it as, oh, they're all Asian tigers. Look, all Asians rising, blah, blah. But the Chinese remember very well what the Japanese did to them. You understand? Yes, exactly. The rape of Nanking, some say Nanjing. I don't speak Mandarin Chinese, so either one. But basically, the Chinese could have said, well, Japan is the first one out the gate. Let's just support Sony. Let's just support Kawasaki. Let's just support Toyota. But the Chinese said, we hate the Japanese, so we're going to build our own. And right now, look at how China is rolling on the rest of the world.
Yeah, but the thing is, in Africa, as you said, I haven't even heard that we have our own YouTube or anything. We don't have anything.
So now that you've heard that abibitumitv.com is there, you can make a choice. And that choice will either be in the interest of black people or your own individual self-interest. During chattel enslavement, they would do something called meritorious manumission. And what it is that if you hear that there is a rebellion that's, you know, brewing, what they would do is that they will say, we'll give you your freedom and all of your family will give them their freedom as well. If only you snitch on the other black people.
Yeah, that's true.
So any type of anti-black thing that's going on is basically in that same thing of prioritizing one's individual self-interest over the collective interest. And that's the only way these non-black people can survive. And that's the reason why they set up the miseducation system here, is to convince us that if I get better grades than everyone else, then I can wear the suit and tie and I can be the big prof there. So literally what the wolves do is what they did when they set up this miseducation system, is to get each single person striving for their own aggrandizement. Right? Now I can wear the white wig, right? Now I can be the one.
Well, it's, I mean, guys, it's an interesting story. This is something about Africa. we're promoting African businesses home and abroad. I don't even know that we have a BB2Me
But so
platform.
This is the thing.
It's my first time.
Once you do know, you know that we have our own clothing.
Yeah.
You've known that since birth.
I've known that since birth, but I'm still wearing.
So this means that information alone does not change behavior. What we have to do is have systems, processes, and structures of collective accountability, where when you come out of the door, we tell you have to go back home.
And wear something.
We don't
Africa,
we don't want to hear names like Nathaniel or any other dog names.
Yeah.
We don't want dog names. We want real human being names. So unless you are Kofi or Kwame or Badele
or Wusu
or Lumumba, that's a human being name. I don't want to hear any dog name coming out, because literally I would grow up with people calling their dog, my dog is named Nat.
That's true.
My dog is named, whatever, Bob or something like this.
It is true.
But now you have people who will come out of their house with pride and say, my name is Priscilla, my name is this, my name is that. That is not a human being name. That's a dog name. So I always tell people I don't want to hear what your dog name is. But because here we'll say, if you din, I say, I don't want to hear any of those things. I want a real human being's name. And really, the only time that we will get somewhere is when we stop trying to deal so much with information and start working more so on transformation. You understand?
Yeah.
So I hope that this has been quite transformative for you.
Oh,
the next time I see you, I don't want to hear any dog name. The next time I see you, I don't want to see dog clothes.
You won't hear any
Obroni Wewu clothes. Obroni Wewu, that means the white man has died, so now I get to wear
you got to wear
clothes. I don't want to see that, because we cannot say that we are serious and interested in the liberation of black people or anything else until we get
still using their own
mutually interdependent. When I see these phones here, those phones are exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
you could be using phones that are made by black people.
Black people, yeah, that's true.
So I don't want to see any AMU, that's Eurasian foreigner phones. I don't want to see you on YouTube. I don't want to see you on Facebook. I don't want to see you on Instagram. I don't want to see you on Nitwitter, right, where the nitwits can be found.
Yeah, Nitwit.
I want to see you on Black BB2Me.
Yeah.
There's Black Junction, which I have no affiliation with.
Bring it to me.
This is like that. Sock it to me, BB2Me. We also have there's Social Africa. I have absolutely no affiliation with it, but I use it because it's made by black people. The Onjos that I mentioned before, I have no affiliation with it, but I use it because it's made by black people. Soft Talk, I get no kickbacks from anyone from Soft Talk, but I use it because it's made by black people. So the difference is that when I say that I'm about this, you can actually see the track record and the behavior.
That's true.
The last time I wore clothes made by non-black people was sometime in the late 90s. When I was a teenager, because I said every single day I'll wear clothes made by black people. And even my drawers are made by black people. I don't even know which drawers I'm wearing today.
Which drawers? Show me.
But these are my... There's the tailor right down here at Brie. So if we know that we can sew this, the only thing that prevents us from saying we can sew this is the miseducation.
Because we can sew everything.
If only we decide to hate our enemies. And again, I mean functional hatred, like the way the Chinese hate the Japanese. If you even say the word Japanese around the Chinese, they probably do a kung fu chop across your neck. You understand?
Yeah.
And their hatred is a functional hatred in the sense of, I don't want to drive your car. I hate your car. I want my own car. I don't want to use your phone. I hate your Sony phone. I want to make my own Xiaomi phone.
Yeah.
I hate your whatever it is. I want my own Huawei, this thing. You understand? That is how China moves forward, is through protectionism, that I love my own thing and I hate your thing, right? So that's, the message that I have for you. When you start hating YouTube is when you're going to actually see some progress for the black race. When you hate Puma is when you'll actually start to see progress for the black race. When you hate iPhone is when you'll actually see some progress for the black race. Until you start actually functionally hating all of those things and loving your own thing, right? I'll probably close on this. Nana Amos Wilson, a noted psychologist, he talks about how knowledge and ignorance are intertwined. That any increase in knowledge in one area, it calls for an increase in ignorance of another area. Because of, look, my eyes are here, this means the back of my head isn't focused on this. So anything that I choose to focus on, it means that I'm ignoring something else.
That's
right?
true.
Any book that I read, it means that there's another book somewhere that I'm not reading.
Yeah.
Any platform that I'm using, whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook, it means that there's some other platform that I'm not spending my time.
Yeah.
This single object cannot be in two places at the same time, unless we're dealing with quantum physics, but that's a different subject. So once we understand this, then we understand that it really comes down to our terms. When I say terms, I mean our time, our energy, our resources, our money, and our strengths. Because if we're going to build the black nation is going to be built on our terms. Because all the time that we're spending building the white institutions is time that we're not spending building the black institutions.
Yeah, because we focus there and we live our own.
All of the energy that we spend on YouTube is energy that we're not spending on a BB2Me.tv, right? Any resources that we're spending in order to do a boost on Facebook is resources that we're not spending on the black one. So this means that the rich get richer and then the poor get poor. And then we sit there and say, how come black people aren't doing very well? If only black people, if only all other black people other than me would do this thing, then we'd just be great. And we never look at what am I doing and what should I stop doing today and what should I start doing today.
So, but and as I said, we're talking about the black platforms. As I said, today is my first time. So the same thing as my other black brothers over there, no one knows. Because we are more familiar with the white man's thing.
But
you know what I mean?
This is the difference, and this is why I keep coming back to the miseducation, because the core of it is not the ignorance of the thing that I don't know that it exists, because we can see the patterns, we can see what's constant, that even the things that we do know exist, we're not using those things either.
That's true. That's the close.
That's the close, right?
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. And yeah, Medasi. Medasi. Nana.
So you can find me on abibitumi.com, ABIBITUMI.
It will be on the screen. Yes. And all the information, all the addresses that it will be on it.
You can also hit me up on Unjust. You can hit me up on Soft Talk if you want to talk one-on-one. So I only use black platforms. I'm off all of the platforms of my enemies because this is about functional love for black people and functional hatred for non-black people. That's the only way black people move forward.
Move forward.
You heard it here first?
Yeah. That's the only way black people move forward. And that's the only way Africa will continue to develop.
The land of black people.
The land of black people.
Kemet.
Not African, the land of black people. Kemet. Yeah. Thank you. Guys, like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to press the notification bell.
And don't forget to quit YouTube.
And then don't forget to quit. So guys, as Nana Kwame said, we should quit YouTube and go back to Obibini-Tumi.
Abibitumi TV.
Abibitumi TV.
ABIBITUMI-TV.com. There are other ones out there. I know Black Junction has TV, but it's not really about black liberation like that. So there's only black liberation content that you can find on abibitumitv.com. But at the very least, use something made by black people, period. And quit YouTube. So after you like, subscribe, share, smash that like button and whatever else you're doing, quit YouTube, what I call YouTube, quit Crackerbook, quit Ignitgram, quit Nitwitter, and all these other platforms that you're on, and exclusively subscribe to that of black people. Unless you're doing that, I don't want you to say that you're about black liberation. I don't want you to do that because you're engaging in aggressive ideological mimicry. You're luring people into white institutions in order to take their time, in order to devour their energy, their resources, their money, and their spirit. And we don't want you to do that. If you are going to pretend like you're about the black race, then quit all those cracker platforms and use the platforms of black people exclusively. Then you're actually going to be about what you said you're about.
Including
Thank you, guys.
TV.
Yeah, and do business at home and abroad.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. At the same time, don't forget to quit. As
soon as you do, as soon as you hit the button, delete this account.
As soon as you hit the button. But guys, but at the same time, they are the same place that we are going to use it to reach you guys to know much about it. Abibini-Tumi, because today, like this, if I don't come here, I don't know anything about Abibini-Tumi. We're still going to. The thing is, if you are not in, you cannot make any change. You have to be in to make any change.
Which
so
is
we
why
use
he's going
them.
to be in Abibi Tumi so he can start making those changes.
Yeah, we're going to start going to Ebibini Tumi. We're going to be there.
Yes.
We're going to be there. We're going to promote us. We're promoting African businesses home and abroad. So we're going to use it. So to find that you guys know about Ebibini Tumi. Abibi Tumi. Then, you know, Abibi Tumi is a power of Bibini.
What I would say on this is that water, it goes into channels that are already cut for it. Yeah. That is to say, you know, once people know that there's something like a Abibi Tumi, we have to actually make these spaces available. That's true. What the thing that you are about to put on the platforms of our enemies, it can now direct that water to places of light instead of being stream water flowing towards the desert. Because stream water flowing to the desert, your future is extinction. Because the desert knows no giving, it only knows how to take. So when we're building these white platforms, they're going to take all of your terms and then use that to build the prisons that you're going to complain about. And then while you're complaining about it, you're going to put it on YouTube so they get more money, so then they build another prison from it. As soon as you spend your terms in all these spaces, they're going to use that exact same money to buy the bullets that shoot you down in the street. And then you're going to say, all right, I'm going to do a selfie of me complaining about it, and then I'm going to get their stocks going even higher. So we have to get beyond that. We have to go beyond raising consciousness to raising behavior. So this is what it's all about. As those channels are being cut, then make that a channel towards the black race instead of towards building the white institutions that ultimately build the white nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nana Kwame. Thank you. And Medasi, thanks for your time as well. I think I've taken a lot of your time. And thank you. And thank you, Nana. And thank you, Mr. Yao. Thank you, cameraman.
Keep watching Kambon TV. Like, subscribe, and share.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.